Hi everyone, this is Natsuko Ito reporting on Investigation 15. So we'll start out by looking at the temperature map for January and February. So by looking at the hourly temperature graph for Eagle for January and February, you can see that there is some temperature variation between night and day. This could be due to the amount of sunlight we receive during the winter months. If we look at the graph for March, you can see that there is a very strong variation between night and day because of the increased amount of sunlight we receive during the daytime in March. So by looking at especially from the 26th to the 30th, as the temperature dropped significantly, there is definitely less of a difference between the temperatures from night and day. Looking at the temperature graph for March, you can see that there was a consistent temperature variation between night and day. Generally, if the skies were clear, there was a strong variation. The daytime temperatures rose to be pretty high and cooled significantly in the nighttime. Looking at the graph between the 26th and the 27th, you can see that there was less of a temperature variation, and this can be due to the cloudiness that Eagle experienced during that time, leaving the temperature to be more consistent throughout the day. The temperatures for January and March were not warmer than what climatology expected, so for this question I will only be looking at the March map. I think it would be impossible to say that warmer temperatures are specifically caused by only clear skies or only cloudy conditions. But if we look at March 26th and the 27th, we can see that the temperature was consistently above what climatology expected it to be for those days. It was also cloudy on those days, which kept the temperature relatively warmer than the rest of the week. So in this specific case, I would say that the cloudy conditions are responsible for warmer temperatures. So for looking at the humidity, unfortunately, the humidity graph for January and February is missing some data, so I will be focusing more on the graph for March. The relative humidity moves in the opposite direction as the temperature. So by looking at the 25th, you can see that the temperature decreased significantly in the first 6 hours or so of the day. And we can see on this graph that the relative humidity increased around the same time, so right here. And the dew point generally moves in sync with the temperature variation. Now moving on to the TV weather maps and the GOES images, you can see that the Eagle region remained relatively clear with a few scattered clouds in the area. So you can see that there weren't very many clouds in both the visible and infrared maps. On the 26th, looking at the TV and GOES map, you can see that there was an increased amount of clouds in the region. And by looking at the water vapor map, you can see that there was a significant increase in water vapor in the Eagle area from the 24th. Therefore, the station measurements and satellite images seem to correlate with each other pretty well. Now, looking at the weather variation from January 25th to the 29th, you can see that the wind brought in a high pressure system from the north into the Eagle area within those few days. Looking at the change in weather from March 24th and the 26th, you can see that a low pressure system was moving in from the south, right along here. And on the 26th, it caused clouds to move into the Eagle area, which increased the temperature. Depending on which way the wind is coming from, it can significantly influence the weather in an area. So the colder temperatures in January were due to winds coming in from the north. whereas the warmer temperatures in March was influenced by winds coming up from the south. And lastly, looking at the meteorological conditions that gave rise to colder than expected temperatures in Eagle in late January is due to the colder winds that came in from the north, which brought in a high pressure system that kept the skies mostly clear, which allowed the temperatures to drop way below the average temperature for the season. The warmer than expected temperatures in March was also due to wind bringing up a low pressure system from the south and cloud coverage into the Eagle area on the 26th. The increased amount of sunlight during the month of March also probably influenced the temperatures. The clouds that moved into the area on the 26th trapped in the radiant heat, keeping the overall temperature for the 26th and the 27th warmer than usual. And this concludes Investigation 15. Thanks for watching.